Hello, thanks for checking out this video. This is Stephen from TaxSaleSupport.com. We get a lot of questions come in about Florida tax sales and how they work, and so what I wanted to do is make a quick video where we can go through the process and talk about Florida tax liens and also Florida tax deeds and kind of explain how the whole process works in Florida. So as far as Florida offers both tax liens and tax deeds. Now, tax liens and deeds are going to be offered through two different types of sales, both tax lien auctions and tax deed auctions. And I'll go ahead and explain exactly how that works. But as far as tax sale investing, I think that Florida is one of the better states in the country for tax sale investing in both liens and deeds. And we'll go through and talk about some of the reasons why. Now, as far as the tax lien process, tax liens are sold in the month of May and June. So, usually all of the auctions are going to be done by June 1st. Start in the beginning of May and really go throughout the month. Now, tax liens in Florida pay out a maximum return of 18%. So that's essentially where the bidding is going to start at. It is 18%. Now, tax liens are sold with a 2-year redemption period. So from the date of the sale, the property owner has 2 years to pay back the property taxes, or the tax lien certificate holder can fill out what's called a deed application. I'll explain how that works. Now, Florida uses the bid down the interest method. Now, what that essentially means is that you're going to be bidding down the interest. So it's going to start at 18%. A bidder's going to accept 17.75, 17.50, 17.25, until whoever's willing to accept the lowest bid on the property is going to win the tax lien certificate. Now, one thing that's nice in Florida is they offer what's called an early payoff penalty. Now, what this means is that if the tax lien, you purchase the tax lien at the auction, let's say it redeems quickly, so it redeems after 1 month or 2 months, you are still going to get at least a guaranteed 5% return off of your investment. And so what this does is it helps those investors that are essentially purchasing tax liens and will be able to get a 5% return in a pretty short period of time. And at least helps the investment for investors that purchase tax liens and end up redeeming early. Now, how the auction works is they have both online and live auctions. So many of the counties in Florida are conducting, what we call online auctions. So they're actually conducting the sale online. There's still some counties that are conducting essentially still live auctions. Now, the bidder that's willing to accept the lowest interest rate is going to be the person that wins the property. Now, the online auctions are usually going to be held through Real Auction and Grant Street Group. There's also some auctions that are going to be held through Zeus Auction, Florida Tax Sale. So there's a couple of other companies that'll also have online auctions. But I would say about 75%, maybe more, of Florida counties are now conducting their auctions online. So it does give a good opportunity for investors around the world to be able to purchase tax lien certificates in Florida. Now, once that 2-year redemption period is ended, then the property owner can initiate the foreclosure process. I mean, the tax lien owner can initiate the foreclosure process. Now, as far as that foreclosure process, essentially what the property owner is able to do is they're able to fill out a deed application with the county, and then that property is sent to a tax deed sale. Now, as far as purchasing over-the-counter tax liens, any tax lien not sold at the auction is going to be offered over the counter. Now, they'll generally put out their list about 30 days after the auction, so that's a great time to start purchasing any of these over-the-counters. Now, a lot of the counties are going to refer to these over-the-counter tax liens as county-held liens. That's kind of how you'll see it referred to within many of the counties. Now, what's awesome about over-the-counter tax liens is they're going to be offered at 18%. So you're going to get the highest maximum interest rate return just by purchasing that tax lien certificate over the counter. Also, you can buy these over-the-counter tax liens already into the redemption period. So if you purchase a tax lien that's a year or a year and a half into the redemption period, then you can essentially foreclose on the property within 6 months or a year. Now, what that allows us to do as tax lien investors is be able to get back our money in a shorter period of time. So we may not have to wait the full 2 years because we can go ahead and foreclose within 6 months of purchasing the tax lien certificate. Now, some of these over-the-counter tax liens can actually be purchased on the auction website. So you could actually, or we could actually go online right now and purchase over-the-counter tax liens directly off some of the county websites. So it's a great opportunity for purchasing over-the-counter liens. Now, as far as tax deeds, what happens is after 2 years, the tax lien investor can start the foreclosure process. Now, what they're going to do is the investor is going to pay a fee, and they're going to fill out what's called a deed application with the county. Now, in addition to that, the tax lien investor who's foreclosing on the property is going to be required to pay what we call the roll-up, and that's any additional tax liens on the property. Now, when we're purchasing tax liens, and it's something we talk about with our students, we're going to invest to see what that roll-up is before we ever buy the tax lien certificate. But that's something, because that's something that's going to need to be done once we fill out that deed application. So we're essentially going to fill out the deed application. We're going to pay any additional taxes on the property, so that essentially we own all of the tax liens on the property. We're going to be the person foreclosing on the property. Now, once we do that, we really don't have to do a lot more, because the county is going to do the foreclosure. They're going to send out all the notices. They're going to go through the foreclosure process. That's one thing that's nice about Florida, is if you don't want to have to try to get an attorney and pay all the money for a foreclosure, essentially you just pay this deed application fee, usually a couple $100, and pay any additional roll-up if you haven't already purchased those tax liens, and then at that point you can go ahead and the county will foreclose on the property. Now, once that property has been foreclosed on, the tax deed is going to be offered at the auction. So what happens is at the auction, the tax deed is going to be offered at all of the delinquent taxes. So all of that tax lien that you paid, plus any roll-up you paid, plus any additional fees that they need to do through foreclosure, the deed application, all of that's going to be essentially included in the opening bid. And so what's going to happen is that's where the bidding is going to start. Now, Florida uses what we call a premium bid method, which is just like any other kind of auction. It's like eBay, anything else. Essentially, you're bidding up the price of the property. So if it starts at $1,000, then $1,200, $1,300, $1,600, and it's just going to go up to whoever is willing to pay the most for the property. Now, usually, once the auction has ended and you've been awarded the property, it usually takes within 2 to 4 weeks for you to receive the deed to the property. Now, Florida offers both live auctions, and they do have online auctions as well. So there's a number of counties in Florida that you can participate in tax deed auctions from anywhere in the country. And then, of course, they offer live auctions. Now, as far as over-the-counters, any tax deeds not sold at the auction can be offered over the counter. And I guess one thing I should add as well is, as far as the auction process, if that tax deed is not sold, so let's say it's offered for sale and nobody purchases the tax deed, then at that point, the lien holder is going to get the property. So in Florida, if you are the tax lien certificate holder, you're not necessarily going to get the property. In fact, most of the time you're not, because a good portion of these properties are going to sell at the tax deed auction. So if it doesn't sell at the tax deed auction and you filled out that deed application, then at that point you're going to get the property. If somebody else purchases the property, when they buy the property, they're essentially going to be paying off you and your investment. So that deed holder, that deed investor who buys the property, is going to be paying off you and your interest rate, just to kind of make that clear. So any of these over-the-counter tax deeds not sold at the auction are essentially can be put back onto the books and can be purchased. Now, these are generally going to be called lands available for taxes. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of the properties will sell at auction, but there is good properties that do slip through the cracks, especially if there's large auctions or maybe not a lot of competition. Sometimes some of the counties that have a lot of properties that also don't do online auctions could have a good opportunity for over-the-counters there as well. Now, what happens is the tax deed investor who wants to purchase one of these over-counter tax deeds is going to have to pay off all of the delinquent taxes, penalties, and fees. And so that could actually be increasing as that tax deed sits on the book. Now, you can go ahead and contact the county to download any of these essential lists, or you can also check out taxsalesupport.com, where we essentially offer these. So that should kind of explain how Florida works. It's a great state for investing. It's great for both tax lien investing and tax deed investing. They have tax lien auctions online and live at the county courthouse, tax deed auctions live and online as well. And so it's a great opportunity for investors to live in other states that want to be able to buy Florida real estate or earn good interest rate returns to be able to purchase it. They offer a lot of good over-the-counter tax lien certificates. They also offer over-the-counter deeds, and they're one of the more progressive states when it comes to online auctions. Really, the counties in Florida are pretty on top of this. This is something that usually they'll have a staff. They're going to have departments that handle these tax lien auctions and tax lien certificates. It's kind of a big part of what the tax collector does, and then also what the clerk of court does for the tax deeds. So as far as tax lien certificates, those are going to be handled by the treasurer. The tax deeds are going to be handled by the clerk of court. It's also a great state for investors that are looking to just get started purchasing tax liens. Essentially, you can go buy, $200-300 tax liens on really pretty good properties, building lots, things like that. But we're still looking at as far as the value. These properties are have a high value versus what we're essentially paying for it. Now, as far as tax deeds, they can be purchased from anywhere between 10 to 50 cents on the dollar. Of course, there's properties that bid above that, but that's generally what we're looking at when we're bidding. So that should be able to kind of explain Florida. If you want to know more about tax lien investing, go ahead and go to secretsoftaxlieninvesting.com and download our 2 free ebook series, Tax Lien Investor Secrets. This book was featured on TV before in the past. So go ahead and go to our website, download it. You can also just go to the description below, and you can click on the link there to download the book as well. So I appreciate you watching the video, and thank you from taxsalesupport.com.